human. Play, Damjat, human.
Hello my lovelies, Pirate Scum Gaming here with another build review for you. I hope you're ready for it because we are getting ready to talk about the Temporal D7 Battlecruiser. This is a ship I kind of forgot that I had been sitting rusting away in my dry dock. So I decided to pull it out, dust it off, and see what it can do, and I was not disappointed. This little ship, and I do mean little, this was small compared to what I'm used to flying. It does a lot of damage, it's fast, it's maneuverable, and I just enjoy the hell out of it. It's just really beautifully designed. So let's go ahead and dive right into the build. Not much has changed since my last beam overload build for disruptors. A few things have changed, so let's go ahead and take a look at that. I have some new stuff I'm using. First up, let's go over the weapons here. We have your disruptor wide-angle dual heavy beam bank from Discovery Rep. A couple of spiral wave disruptors. These are very heavy-hitting disruptor beams. Coalition disruptor. This one is also very good. Dark matter quantum. Elite Fleet Intervention Protomatter Deflector. Prevailing Innervated Impulse Engine. Elite Fleet Plasma Integrated Warp Core. Tilly's Review Pending Modified Shield. Kinetic Cutting Beam. Omnidirectional Disruptor Beam. And another Spiral Wave Disruptor Beam, because why not? If you'd like a more detailed explanation as to why I'm using these and why I've put them on my build, take a look at my previous Disruptor Beam Overload build vid. I go over everything in detail. Red matter capacitor from the Phoenix box. This buffs my power levels. Kobayashi Maru for the random buffs. Energy amplifier, pretty self-explanatory. Deuterium surplus, which I like to call my go-go juice. This helps me get around. Reactive armor catalyst. Good oh shit button. You're taking damage, you need a quick heal. Pop one of these, you're back in the fight. You have your Lorecator from the Discovery Legends rep. Bioneuron fusion circuits from, as well as tachyokinetic converter from the Lobby store. This is new to the build. Interphasic rift generator. This comes off of the Mirror warship. Its passive abilities are very good. Crit severity as well as hull capacity. Also, its clicky is very good. Minus 9.5 all current power levels. Get a good amount of kinetic damage off of this, as well as a flight speed debuff, which is very good for using on it, like the group of nanite spheres that pop in at each generator. Immolating phaser lance from the Deimos Pilot Destroyer. Yes, folks, I finally got my hands on this. And I am not disappointed. This thing hits very, very hard. Its passive is okay. However, it's the clicky that really makes this console. It hits very hard, as you can see. Domino from the Bajorian Interceptor. This helps buff my firing cycle haste. As we all know, beam overload slows down firing cycle haste. We need to speed it back up so it gets its max benefit. That's where this comes in. Its passive is, it doesn't do anything for me, so I'm not running phasers, but its active is what I'm using it for. 25% firing cycle haste, 25% bonus all damage, 25% recharge speed for bridge officer abilities, and a whopping 100% recharge speed for torpedoes. That is why we use it. This is a great console, and if you're not using this if you're running a beam overload, you are doing yourself a massive disservice. Use it. Assimilated module from the Omega rep. This is where we get our Omega weapon amplifier from. As you can see, it is a massive weapon power reduction cost. 500 minus 500%. As we all know, beam overload chews up a lot of weapon power. So the more weapon power cost reduction we have, the better off we are. And of course, the DPRM, the second best console in the game, next to the immolating phaser lance. This comes off of the Atlas prototype Dreadnought. This ship is going for well over 1 billion EC at the moment. I was lucky enough to grab one of these off the exchange while the faction walls were still up, so that's the reason I have it. Only other way to get this is either through the event campaign if you have not finished it yet, or if you are lucky enough to get a T6 Infinity box. I know some people are more lucky at that than others. You know who you are. So, yeah, you're definitely going to want to get this. Its active is what we're using it for. The 40% bonus damage, 100% plus 100 bonus damage resistance rating, and the massive 500% hull regen. The passive is also very good. You get plus 11.3 all damage resistance rating, as well as 19% directed energy damage. And of course we have 4 locators from the Fleet Spire, Disruptor Flavor. Before you do your runs, make sure you actually have the right one slotted. True story, I've done this. It's something that I'm not proud of, but yeah, I've did that before. So, moral of the story, always double check your stuff. Specializations have not changed, still using Intel Temporal. Traits have changed a little bit. See, I'm still using adaptive offense, leadership, inspirational leadership, that is. Context is for kings. I also decided to slot in conventional systems to shave a few seconds off of my universal consoles, especially the immolating phaser lance. We want that up as much as possible because of its massive damage output. Superior beam training. Everyone gets standard beam training at 5%. Go to your K-13 fleet holding and you can upgrade to superior. Terran targeting, fleet coordinator, intel agent attaché, self-modulating fire, and Boimler effect, which is just about everybody's using to replace Aux to Bat for cooldown reduction. Starship traits are pretty much the same. I've made a few changes. Terran Goodbye we're still using. Super Weapon Ingenuity we're still using. Emergency Weapon Cycle we're still using. This is new. This is thanks to my friend Warduke, who was so kind and gifted me a crossfield refit. Universal Designs helps keep immolating phaser lance up almost 100% of the time during the run. Preferential targeting, of course. And this is also new. Directed Energy Flux. This comes off of the Huznok warship. It's a ship that Augie gave me some time ago. And its trait is only good for ships that have temporal seating. And since this ship does have temporal seating, I decided to try it out and I was not disappointed. Damage buff 2, rapid fire and beam overload from temporal operative buff abilities, and directed energy modulation. When triggered, grants 25% bonus damage to cannon, rapid fire, and beam overload for 15 seconds. We'll be talking about this momentarily. Tyler's Duality. This gives crit chance based on hull capacity. As you can see, a lot of the consoles I have built-in hull capacity buffs. And there's also something else that I'm using that will really make this trait shine. Prototype Blade Jevanite, plus 100 Starship hull capacity. Watch what happens to Tyler when I activate this. Tyler's Duality is now at 6%. So it buffed up my crit chance fairly good. So that is why we're using it. The more hull capacity you have, the better this trait gets. Of course, we're still using advanced targeting, magnified firepower, precision, and tactical advantage. Bridge officer stations. This ship only has 4 bridge officer seats, which is very odd because most T6 ships have the 5 seats. This is 4. But you know what? These 4 more than make up for that 5th seat because they're all lieutenant commander except for the engineering, which is full commander. It is also a temporal operative BOFF seat, which is why we're using recursive shearing 3. Recursive shearing 3 hits like a truck. This is my number 1 damage dealer on my Parse. This is my max 1 hit. Whatever this thing hits, it obliterates. If you're running a beam overload ship and you have a temporal operative commander seating, you really need to be using recursive shearing 3. It is so very well worth it. And you're pairing that with that trait from the Who's Knock? Ooh, buddy. Yeah. Good times. Alright, and science, I'm using Tractor Beam 1 and Photonic Shockwave 1 to help trigger unconventional systems, as well as emit unstable warp bubble. This also triggers unconventional systems. So between all 3 of these, this is keeping my universal consoles pretty much on global. Tactical seats have not changed. It's pretty much the same thing I've used before, so there's nothing surprising there. Let's take a look at duty officers. Okay, we have my 24 of 47, which, upon using a tactical bridge officer ability, 15% chance, set power levels to maximum for 5 seconds. This procs fairly often, which is very nice. Have my emergency con hologram to keep my evasive maneuvers and emergency powered engines on constant cooldown. You have the twins here, my twin Suliban DOFFs, for beam overload. Beam overload to cause all attacks against targets to gain 35% shield penetration. Yeah, that's why I use these. The faster you get through the shields, the faster you're hitting hull, the faster you destroy the enemy. You have my Tholian Space Warfare Specialist who helps damage against the Borg, because, you know, why not? And you have Dex here. It's my projectile weapons officer. Chance 2 for stacking crit chance on firing projectiles. Hey, why not make that Dark Matter Quantum just a little more deadly? Why not? I'm all for that. Who isn't? Alright, let me show off how this emergency con hologram works. In case you guys didn't see it in my last video, I'm just going to go over it real quick. So watch this. Evasive maneuvers. Moving, 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 moving. Go, 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 go. Go, 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 go. Emergency powered engines. Boom. My evasive maneuver is now cooldown and ready to use again. That is why we're using the emergency con hologram. Helps you get around so much quicker. Alright, time for some Space Barbie with this ship. Show it off. You have some pretty nice customization options on this ship. You get parts of several different D7s and Katinga class ships. So as you can see, it's a kind of a hodgepodge of different parts because, you know, it's a pirate ship. You make do with what parts you can get. I love this ship. It, like I said in the beginning, it turns fast, it's maneuverable, it hits hard, and it's just really cool looking. So with that out of the way, let's get that ISC going. I'll catch you on the flip side. Alright, let's take a look at that Parse. I am, of course, at James Bryce. Got my good buddy here at Dark Speaker. Everyone knows him as Augie, the Augmented Dictator, everyone's favorite Augmented Dictator. He was my controller for the evening. Got at Mikey213, also known as Stow Mikey. He was my tank, another great tank run from him. One of the best tanks in game, if you ask me. And also we have at Stargate Wars, another good friend of mine. He lended a hand so we could at least get a 4-man going for this run. Very much appreciate each of their help for this run. And you see, this ship did 440.24k DPS. Well above what I expected out of this ship. I actually was very competitive run between me and Augie. This is far better than I anticipated this build doing by my wildest dreams. It's a testament to just how good of a tank Mikey really is. Let's go ahead and look here. My max one hit was 1.736 million. Let's go ahead and look at the player combat analysis. Alright, as you can see, here's my max one hit. And where are you at? Here it is, cursor shearing, max one hit, right here. That just goes to show you what directed energy flux can do for a beam overload ship running temporal operative abilities. This was my biggest hit, right here. Fully buffed from that trait. And of course, here is the Disco Dual Heavy Beam Bank, again, my second biggest damage dealer. Then you have my Spiral Wave Beam Overload, next biggest damage dealer, so these are my biggest damage dealers right here. Disruptor Array, this is my Omni, Kinetic Cutting Beam, did very well for itself. Dark Matter Quantum Torpedo, this did also perform very well. Another Spiral Wave Overload, this is just a standard beam array. Yeah, definitely a very good setup, very solid, got the job done in spades. Pardon. Let's start looking at some of these other abilities. Okay, the cryonic turbulence from very cold in space, it represented itself very well this evening. Here's my emulating phaser lance. This did okay. This could have been better, provided I was running phasers. Be on the lookout for a pirate build review video coming up in the next few days. I'm going to throw some pulse phasers that I have on this build. Then we're going to really see what this can do. It's a temporal ship, so you get molecular deconstruction beam. This did fairly good. Here's interphasic rift. This didn't do as well as I thought it would. I'm not complaining either. Its passive alone is worth using. I am very happy with the way this came out. I did not anticipate doing 440k with this. This was a very big surprise for me. I'm very happy with it. So this pretty much tells you that although it's only a 4 bridge officer seat ship, it worked out quite well. It is a very good ship. It does the damage. It represented itself very well with this Parse. I am very pleased with it. I highly recommend if you have one, arm it up, fly it, have fun with it. It's a great ship. It more than can keep up in a competitive DPS run. So I am very happy with this overall. I give this ship 2 thumbs, way up. And this has been Pirate Scum Gaming. And you know what? I'd like to hear what you think about this ship. Have you flown this ship? Have you guys flown this ship? If you haven't, what do you think? Pros, cons, what do you like, what you don't like about it? I'd love to hear it in the comments section below. And remember, if you like this and any of my content, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, ring the bell, ring it like it owes you money. That way you know when I drop more of my awesome videos. More to come, stay tuned, and like always, don't go by the book, think like a pirate. I'll catch you next time.
Like all Starfleet, you talk and you talk, but you have no gramba.